to a monastery in southern Germany. I'm looking to take some time out. It's become a popular thing to do, with more and more stressed-out workers seeking respite at a monastery. 17 Benedictine monks live here, but so far I haven't seen any of them. Even at the reception desk, I'm greeted not by a monk, but a nun, Sister Conrada. She says there are not enough monks to do everything, so she's been employed to look after the guests. I ask her what I should do during my time at the monastery. I recommend you just go with it, she says, and maybe you'll have a real sense of peace here. And if you find yourself thinking about your life, and because there's time, things start to come to the surface, then just allow that to happen. I was baptized into the Lutheran Church as a baby, but I wouldn't call myself religious. That's quite typical. Church members in Germany are not necessarily all believers. I can't relax at the push of a button. First, I have to find out where I am. I make my way to the monastery farmhouse. It lies a short distance from the main complex and is run by Father Richard. Somehow I had a more romantic idea of a monastery farm. And where is Father Richard? That must be him. Even the monk doesn't fit the cliché I had in my mind. I can't get excited about the electronic control system for grain purification. I'd rather see cute little piglets instead.
Good.
Father Richard agrees to show me the pigs. This is an all-organic farm. Father Richard explains that the pigs therefore have a lot more space than on a conventional farm. That's probably why they look so content. And that has a knock-on effect, it seems. According to Father Richard, if his animals are happy, he's happy too. But then he's keen to get back to the grain store. Somehow I get the feeling I'm keeping him from his work. He asks me if there's anything else I want to know. I tell him that I'd wanted to chat a bit more, at which he laughs. I thought the life of a monk would be much calmer, more contemplative. You have to draw your strength from elsewhere, he says, in order to cope with the strains of everyday life. It's important first thing in the morning to find your rest in God. Once you're out on the farm and busy, it's difficult, he says. Father Richard now has to attend a meeting at the monastery. He takes me back with him in the car. He's even managed to get changed quickly. Does he feel any different when he's wearing his habit, I ask. No, he says, I'm just more careful. Otherwise, I'd get all muddy before I even start. Father Richard drops me at the monastery bookshop. Maybe someone here will have time to tell me a bit more about monastic life. There's Father Bruno, but he's a bit stressed out with the computer right now. I'll wait until he's finished. Oh dear, I waited too long. Now he has to rush off. I tell him it's no problem. But perhaps it is a problem. I'm having a hard time relaxing. I don't like being alone. I need someone to talk to. In the library, I find the head of the monastery, Abbot Beda. He is, of course, working. I ask him why everyone here is so busy. Everyone should do some work, he tells me, and not just anything, but something useful. We don't live off income from church tax. We live from the work of our hands, he says. And the nice thing is, the things you work for or create are a part of you. You can only really access life when you face up to the necessities of work and everyday life.
Wenn man sich eben auch der Arbeit und den Notwendigkeiten des täglichen Lebens
I've come here to get away from the necessities of work and everyday life. But if everyone else is working, then I want to do something too. Ora et labora, pray and work. That's the fundamental principle of the Benedictine way of life. Guests are allowed to help out in the monastery gardens. I'm relieved to finally have something to do. I meet Maximilian. He's studying math and physics at university. But for 3 weeks he's been living and working here. He tells me he feels rested. It really has an effect on you, he says. This principle of ora et labora has really started to influence my thinking. The regular rhythm of work and prayer provides a structure for the monk's daily life. Now it's time to stop. The bells call the monks to prayer. It's time for evening vespers. On the way there, I meet Abbot Beda. It turns out to be a lucky thing. I'd never have found my way through all these hallways and doors. The monks meet here 6 times a day to pray together and sing. Guests are also welcome to attend. Finally, I feel like I'm participating in monastery life. For the first time, I even sense something spiritual and feel inwardly moved. In the hall next door, there's a different kind of spiritual experience on offer. These people aren't just getting themselves into weird positions, they also haven't eaten the whole time. The group has rented the hall to spend time fasting and practicing yoga. Fasting is at least a regular part of Christianity. But course leader Lissa tells me this is not really about religion. I think it shouldn't matter, she says. Whether I'm a Christian or a yogi, a Catholic or an atheist, I believe everyone can fast. I don't actually know which of my group members are Christians and which aren't, she says. It makes no difference. She's happy for me to join in with the yoga. Fortunately, I don't have to fast. I wonder whether this form of spirituality is suitable for anyone regardless of religion. I certainly find it more accessible than the world of the monks. Here, I finally managed to become still and inwardly calm. For the monks, the night ends at 4:30 in the morning. Everyone else gets up at 6:30. The day begins with a service in the monastery church. It's definitely good to be out so early and just listen to the birds without having to rush to work. A number of people come from the village to attend the service. I'm amazed they come at such an early hour. It's been years since I went to church on a Sunday. That was back home in Berlin. The church was more empty then than here at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. Until now, I've only ever been to a Protestant service. The pomp and circumstance here is certainly impressive, but I do find the ceremonial nature of the Catholic service a little alienating. After the service, the faithful remain seated and begin praying out loud. I don't know whether to go or stay. I feel distinctly out of place and finally decide to sneak out quietly. Outside, I meet the yoga group again. They're heading out to the forest for early morning meditation. Once again, they're happy for me to join them. The instructor leads the group. I take the power of the wind inside me, she says. The power of the water, the power of the animals, and the love of the people. I take it all in. After such a good start, I'm sure I'm going to have a good day now. I'm amazed at how little it takes to make normal working adults happy. 2 or 3 days out here are better than 2 weeks at the beach, one of the participants tells me. I'm keen to know what the abbot thinks of what might be called this wellness spirituality. Today I have a proper appointment with him in the visitors' room. There are certainly people who don't immediately relate to the church aspect of spirituality, he says. But of course, it's always there in the background. And people who listen to their conscience attentively and live according to their conscience will eventually discover God. Also through wellness spirituality. Perhaps even I will discover God at some stage. The abbot says it's not so surprising that 3 days weren't long enough for that. If you really want to experience something, he says, then you have to come for longer, much longer, and live with us before you find that a crevice begins to open in the wall. I found 3 days hard enough. Left to my own devices, I find I'm unsure what to do. But one thing I will take away with me is that I shouldn't see work as a burden, but as a way of accessing life and the world.